And then I put there my NSEC in highlighter and was like, oh, hang on a second. And then it made click. It was like, oh, wow, you know these people. It was like, there's all the content, everything is there. There's your profile. You don't have to set up anything new. And it's like, wow, this is so different to what I know. This is so different to Medium or LinkedIn. I was like, wow, this is mind blowing. If you think about it, it's absolutely ridiculous. But then you see, oh my God, there is a centralization, has so much power, so much control. So do I want that for me? Do I really want that somebody else has all this power over me? No, I don't. That's what I find here. Like people here just in South America just get it quicker than in Europe, because they've seen what happened to like Brazil. Like people were just randomly posting any NPUBs like all around the platforms to just get connected on Nostr to speak up.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I have a very special guest. Her name is, drumroll, Tanja Bächle. Did I nail it? How close was that?
Almost.
Give me the corrected version.
Good to see you and meet you finally. It's Tanja Bächle.
Tanja Bächle.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll continue practicing. Thank you so much for joining me today, Tanja. I really appreciate it. Just a little bit of backstory for why I randomly messaged you yesterday on Nostr. You have made quite a name for yourself in the Nostr world in the last few months. It has been very cool to see. You just posted a video a few days ago. I think Max made the video, right? Do I remember seeing his little video company at the end?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Our man, Max DeMarco, I had him on recently as well. He's a master at making cool little movies like that. And basically just tells a story about how you have been going all over the place, just promoting Nostr at conferences, at these conference booths, and getting more people on board to Nostr. And I just think it's a super cool story. Lots of people have been following along and just having a blast watching you do this. So why don't we, before we get into that, we'll just talk a bit about your story, because you kind of came out of nowhere. Like, who are you? Where did you come from that led you to this place of not really, I've never even seen you in the Bitcoin world. You're one of these people who seem to be joining specifically for Nostr, the social aspect of the fixing the communication, which I think is amazing. So how did you get here?
Yeah, it's actually super funny because I recently joined Nostr and Bitcoin, and a lot of people are asking, who's this woman? Where does she come from? Why is she doing all of this? So it all started in Prague this year. I was invited by Svetsky, who was there with a few of like Nostr clients. Derek Ross organized the booth, and he was asking me if I can come around because I'm an event manager. I had a fiat job and do all kind of events, conferences, and he just wanted to, I think, he wanted to brainwash me and wanted to like
Good man. We love to hear it.
Get me into the cult. So I came there, and normally I hate conferences. They're loud, they're dark, like the people are horrible, food is disgusting. Want to say, okay.
And expensive.
It's super
just stuffy
expensive.
And crowded, yeah.
I was like, okay, I've never been to Prague before. Let's give it a try. And it was also my birthday weekend. I was like, okay, why not celebrate like my birthday in Prague with cool people and friends? And
were you living in Germany this time? So that wasn't like a crazy trip for you. It's close-ish.
It was
for
super
Europeans.
close. It's like Berlin, Prague. It's like a 4 hours train drive. Super easy.
You guys have it so, like, you have so many options over there. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, so I jumped into the train, and then I ended up in Prague, and just had I think the awakening call, like after 2019, was like, wow, what is that here? What are those people? And from then, like, everybody could actually follow the journey on Nostr. So I quit my fiat job, because I thought, if I can do this in the fiat world, I think the Bitcoin and Nostr world, there's so much more like potential, and you actually can do something good about it. It's like, as you said, I'm not a technical person. I was like first, I think, purple pilled, then orange pilled. Even I had a little bit Bitcoin before. Thanks to Svetsky, he was like a year ago, he was like, download this app and every week, please invest. I know you don't have a lot of money, but you can do 20 euros every week. And was like, okay, I could do that. I trust you. So I did that, and thanks God. So, and yeah, so ever since things just got like crazy, and now I'm in Buenos Aires. Like the last conference was like 3 weeks ago, no, or 2 weeks ago, and now I'm in this after blues conference like project mode, so I need to see and feel like what's happening, because when you work so many weeks and months for one project, like 3 conferences, that is exhausting. But then at one point you just collapse and it's like, and now what's happening, what's next? So there we go.
And the cool thing about Nostr, there's so many different pieces to it. Like there's different clients being made. There's all sorts of different things just being built that are all, there's a lot of variety within it. So you
Yeah,
can
it's
sort
not
of
just
find these different tracks
yeah.
that give you some of that variety. It's not all the same thing. Like Bitcoin is kind of like all about the money, the Austrian economics. It always kind of comes back to that. But Nostr is much more open, because when you're talking about communication between humans, like there's infinite potential there. So I'm sure that you could just always, I mean, I personally just always find something that's interesting. I never get bored of it. But
Yeah,
um,
it's really cool, and like people are so much nicer than on Instagram or Twitter. I mean, they zap you, right? It's like the video you were just mentioning. I was like, I talked to Max and was like, look, can we do, I need a recap for all the people who haven't been there but supported this. We need to show them some fun things. So he did that, and then I posted the same video as a reel on Instagram, Twitter, and Nostr. And I mean, on Instagram, got a couple of likes, hundreds of views, and that's it. And then Nostr was like, boom! It's like I earned, I don't know, $30 with that. It's like that is lunch and dinner
yeah.
here.
Exactly. And this is like the such early days too. And this is where it gets
Yeah.
exciting, as you see the actual money coming in, but it's not, for me at least, it's not the amount of money that matters. It's the
No.
fact that it's open,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're suddenly earning money for the
Yeah.
content that you create, and getting
Exactly.
this really clear signal of what the people want to see. And from there, it's just, you can scale infinitely. You can just continue building an audience by doing what you actually love. Like you said, there's no algorithm like there is on Twitter or Instagram or Twitter. I feel like Twitter already has some sort of algorithm that crushes you for talking about Nostr, because my account has been totally just executed for the last several months as I started pushing Nostr to people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if people just don't want to hear it there because they don't know what it is, or if it's been like shadow banned, but you can do literally what you want to do there, and you're getting paid for it. So that people value this. No algorithm is in the middle of you two. It's
That's
amazing.
even, I must say, Twitter is a very good platform. I mean, it's very strong. Um, but yeah, I just love Nostr. Even it's like a total different world for me, and a total different community to all my normal friends in my old life, I would say. Because none of them, they are not on Nostr. It's like they even now say, what are you doing there? We don't get it. Just come home. It's like, no, it's cold in Berlin right now. Why would I do that?
Yeah, same. I'm from the Seattle area where it's freezing right now, and I'm in Mexico. We're
Yeah.
both escaped from the cold right now and enjoying the
Yeah.
sun.
Yeah, we do the right thing with all the other
Mhm.
people, like being in South America. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. So you mentioned how Twitter is a good platform, and I would agree with you on that. I think that there's a reason why all the main Nostr clients are sort of variations of Twitter clones right now. It's because it's a really good format. It's simple. It works well. But the thing that Nostr brings into the picture is that there's an open market of a bunch of different ones. So it's like all different flavors of a sort of Twitter clone. And of course, it's not going to be like that forever. There's going to be whole completely different ones. I haven't tried out Pablo's new Olas one that he's making yet. I'm not sure if you've heard of that, but
Haven't tried that
I,
one.
I think it's supposedly going to be the first real Instagram type client.
Ah,
So I'm very curious about that because I've talk about that when I'm like giving people the client talk on how this is going to work, how you're going to have all the similar experiences you're used to from the centralized apps like Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. They're just going to be these clients built on top of the protocol. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more of those come out and get users and start developing so we can really show that because and we'll get more into your experience like actually walking through this with people in person, but I've done the same thing. So I think we'll be able to bounce some ideas off each other here. When I am walking people through the process, I pull up a few different clients on my phone and show them, look, this is this. I have the same followers here in this app as I do in this app, and I do in this app, and it kind of blows their mind already to see
yeah,
like, oh, you're using different apps, but
yeah,
it's all the same
same.
social graph and
Yeah,
content.
yeah.
That's interesting.
All the
And so,
same followers. Yes,
mhm,
yes.
mhm. So why don't you talk about just your actual? Let's just start with the very first conference that you went to talk about Nostr. That must have been like you feel you're probably a little bit out of your element, because you're from Fiat World doing events, and now you're actually talking to people about this new social protocol. So to walk me through how it began for you and the journey for you learning how to become a purple pilling master.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a master because I am not a tech person. So so I right now, because I'm surrounded with all these tech nerds here from the Bitcoin in this community here, they always like every day trying to explain me stuff. I was like, I need a break, people. But actually, purple pilled, I was like at the Bitcoin BTC Prague. Like they had this gigantic Nostr booth with an like ostrich. Was like, what is happening? What is Nostr? And I just didn't get it at that time. I even didn't have Twitter. Like, I had Nostr first, and then I joined Twitter.
Oh
So,
wow! So you didn't even start from the old ones. You went straight
yeah,
in.
I
That's
was like,
incredible. I love it.
because in Berlin or Germany, nobody uses really like Twitter. Like, it's not such a thing. I was like, okay, and then like I got purple pilled by Derek. He was explaining and tried to do all these things, and I was interested. I was like, okay, yeah, but I didn't get it like when I was there. So that happened a couple of weeks later when I was writing one of my first longer articles. I was like, okay, let's try out this highlighter form. Why not? And then I put there my NSEC in highlighter and was like, oh, hang on a second. And then it made click. It was like, oh, wow. These people. It was like, there's all the content, everything is there. There's your profile. You don't have to set up anything new. And it's like, wow, this is so different to what I know. This is so different to Medium or LinkedIn. I was like, wow, this is mind blowing. It's like who was saying it? Was it Matt Odell? It breaks people's mind or brain. I was like, that was such a good thing he said. And yeah, ever since is for me it was like still very difficult at the beginning to explain to people what Nostr is. It's like, should you approach it from the technical side? So for that, you need to deep understand what's the protocol, how does it work, what are relays and clients and all these kind of things. But then I was like, okay, if I start talking like that, people will just walk away. It's like, no. So the way I approach it now is like, I ask people if they use social media and what annoys them and what is the problem with social media today. And then I say, okay, you know what? There's a solution for this. So this is how.
Amazing sales tactic. That is like the sales 101 is, and sometimes I forget to do this too. That's so smart because there's so many different angles you could take for it, but they are only going to care about the one that really caters to their needs. So
Exactly.
you really need to figure out what exactly their pain point is, and that is the only thing you focus on, at least at the beginning, or
Yeah,
else they're just not going to care.
yeah,
Excellent.
that's a target. You need to listen to the person who's in front of you, because some people are say, oh yeah, I'm a musician. Of course you go and explain them about fountain, not about like highlighter or yaki honey or any other platform. And this is actually a very cool thing which works. So I mean, the last conferences, like we onboarded hundreds of people. Like each Nostr day was packed with 80, 50 people. So many amazing people came around. So many cool speakers, developers jumped in and helped out. This was so fun. It was really fun.
I love that, and I'm exactly with you. I'm not technical at all, but I think that's okay, more than okay for being a Nostr, because sometimes I think that could even be a detriment, since the majority of people out there are also not technical.
Yeah,
So if I were technical, I would, probably find myself getting in that direction, but I don't, because I'm too stupid. So
yeah.
it makes
Like,
it easy
that's
to
what I
talk to these
mean.
people.
I don't want to know everything. It's like sometimes when people post their stuff and explain the different nips, I was like, oh my god, do I really have to know this? So you go on GitHub and then Google this, like search for
I
it. And
still don't understand that
it's
stuff.
like,
I literally don't. Like,
what is happening here? So, but I'm honest about it. I'm not technical. This is absolutely fine. And I don't want to be technical. I'm here for the social part. And that's so much fun, right? So you need these people, you need these balance, because otherwise you're in this bubble, which I am already. I know that if I talk to my friends back home, they say, what's happening there? So, yeah.
yeah. And you are such a perfect example. You mentioned this earlier, how you didn't come in through Bitcoin. You didn't even have like other social media before. You came into Nostr through the social pathway. Like this is like a way to like communicate with people better and connect with people better. And I'm so excited about that, because that unlocks such a huge group of humanity that's like open to this. And you mentioned Derek Ross as well, who is, he's the first guy I brought on for an episode about Nostr, I think back in April, like 8 months ago or something. And we were talking about this, how, it's going to be much easier to bring people on through this pathway for a lot of people than just giving them Bitcoin. Because, of course, there's a lot of crossover between the two. Once you use Nostr, like Bitcoin is native, so it's a
Yeah.
big part of it. But you don't even need to understand Bitcoin or care about Bitcoin to want to have this cool network that does all this cool stuff. And that's really exciting, because there's suddenly a huge open door to share with more people. I can certainly say I've also been on a mission during my own trip for the last, well, this one specifically, the last couple of months. I've been traveling since early September. It's been a few months now. And every single place I go, which has been mostly hostels with, people that speak English, which is nice. So I haven't had to learn Spanish yet. It's which is terrible. I need to. But a lot of people have been the type of people that I was like, I think I can talk to this person about Nostr. Probably not Bitcoin yet. They're not quite. Most of the traveler stereotype aren't really super financial nerdy type folks. They're more
Yeah.
kind of the free flowing. Let's be connected and be friends and that sort of thing. And that's where Nostr comes in. Like this is a way to connect with people. And one of my most successful, we'll call it like a campaign of the trip, was when I was living in this little mountain town in Chiapas, Mexico, a place called San Cristobal, which is beautiful. I stayed in this place called Co 404, a beautiful place if anyone's ever going there. It's this sort of a co-working, co-living place where people stay a really long time. It's like a long-term place. So I stayed there for a month. Most people there are there for a month plus. And so I got to really know these people. And I got at least 10 people on, probably like maybe 10, 12, 13 people. And so we had a little circular economy going in this house. I brought them all on board, and we were like, whenever, we'd go on like a trip or take a tour, one person would pay, and then we'd all like just shoot Bitcoin to that person to pay them back, instead of having to deal with cash. Because a part of the reason why I did this was because I was having a total fiat problem. I could not get cash anywhere. There's actually this other girl there who had the same problem. Was when I was in Oaxaca City, I could scan my debit card and I got my cash easily. Then I went to this place. All of a sudden, nowhere would work. Like I would just get errors on every single ATM. No idea why. Classic fiat problems. So I was short on cash the whole time. I was like, I need to figure out a way to pay people. And so that was sort of in the back of my head as well. Like if I get them on Nostr, I don't have to use cash.
I have the
And
same
so
problem here right now in Buenos
yeah,
Aires. It's like I went yesterday to a store and no cash, no ATM is giving me any kind of money, and if so, they charge me, I don't know, $15 for
oh
$30.
yeah, even if it does work, you get rent seeked like crazy. It's
So
just like
crazy,
it's
and they don't
ridiculous.
accept my Mastercard. So I was just there. I was like, what am I doing? I was like yesterday so upset. I was like, yeah, of course. I was then like, do you accept Bitcoin? Of course they said no, but like they were like, oh, it's very interesting to hear. So like everywhere I go right now, I just ask randomly the question, do you accept Bitcoin? And people are open to it. They just don't know how to use it and they're a little bit scared. But that is a fundamental problem here. Like, this is horrible. And the community and the people here, they do work really hard in order to change that. But that's such a long way to go.
Yeah, and sometimes even if you know you're going to get a no or a weird look, it takes so little effort to just do that and try and just plant that seed for the person.
Yeah.
And there's multiple areas of my life where this is applicable. Another one is I'm eating the carnivore diet. I only eat meat. So when I go to the restaurant, I say, hey, can I just, instead of getting a burger, can I just get a stack of 4 patties? And they're
Yeah.
always like, huh? Their brain just breaks. Like, what? You don't want bread and like
Yeah,
lettuce and
yeah.
tomatoes and everything?
No seed
And so
oils.
like and they're exactly, you have to ask for, can you please cook it in butter or just not use oil? And I just say like I'm allergic to oil or something, then they actually take it seriously. But every single time, like basically every time, 90% of the time, even after you tell them every single thing you don't want, it still comes with it because they don't even, it doesn't even comprehend
I
in their
don't get
brain.
it. Yeah.
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 Just like,
Yeah.
and it's the same for Bitcoin. Like people's brains aren't wired for that yet. But if you still just ask it,
Yeah.
it's like I said, it takes no effort on your part. You just throw it out there, and they're probably going to say no. But hey, the next time they hear it,
Plant
if
the
we all
seed
just continue,
yeah.
yeah, just plant the seed. Especially if you're talking to like a small business.
Yeah.
If it's like a big company or a chain or something, like they're not. These people are just cogs in the machine. They won't have much power. But if it's like a small mom and pop place, then that's where I will spend a little more energy and
Yeah.
think about it a little more. How am I going to introduce it to this person? Because this could actually really help them.
It's super funny. There's a story like the local community is called La Crypta here. So that's the biggest Bitcoin community. And they did that actually with a shawarma shop. So like over a year or so, they went there every Tuesday and we're just asking, can we pay in Bitcoin? And they said no. So they left. So without ordering anything. So they did that like with like every Tuesday again with 2 people, then 3 came, and like that went on for months.
Wait, like
And
sending different people so it looked
yeah,
like it was a totally different. Oh, that's genius.
yeah. So and then they
I love
came
it.
with 8 people at one day, and the owner was apparently in, and then he was like, okay, how can we set that up? So and
That's
now
a genius psyop. I love it. That's a psyop for
it's like
positive
it
change right
took
there.
a year, right? So now every Tuesday is like they have an open community co-working day, and every Tuesday they go to that place and everybody is buying in Bitcoin a shawarma. I was like, this is absolutely amazing. It was like, wow. So there's no doubt every Tuesday for lunch, that's shawarma. We all go there and pay in Bitcoin. This is really cool.
That's super cool. And another thing that just popped into my head, speaking of, we can like even weave Nostr into this now because there are clients that have built-in wallets. The
Yes.
one that and this is why I've mostly been using Primal to onboard people. I know that other ones are going to be adding. I know just I think a few nights ago, Will Casterin talked about they're going to be adding it to Damas soon, so that's
Yes,
exciting.
yes,
They
super
should all
excited.
have this, I think, because
Yeah,
it just removes a whole step from the process. And for
yeah,
me, when you're onboarding people, you want to have as few steps as possible, just to
yeah,
make it as easy as possible. So when that's the one I use every time for people was Primal, because I just make sure they activate the wallet and they have that ready to go, and then all of a sudden you can earn Bitcoin. You can just be paid by Bitcoin. And what I tell people is, I don't know if you use Venmo or Cash App or any of those, or if you're aware of those, but in the U.S. at least, Venmo is very popular. It's just this payment app where you pay each other fiat. I use that all during college, and so I just tell people it's a built-in Venmo. It's like a payment app, like right there. So you can start, even if you don't even have to use the social media side if you don't
yeah,
want to. If you
yeah,
just want to earn Bitcoin, you can just create an account. You don't have
yeah,
to post anything you want. I can pay you in Bitcoin, then you can start building your Bitcoin stack. And
yeah.
so you can use that to these business owners like you're talking about. I'm not sure if that's what they did, but that's one way to show them, it takes 10 minutes to create an account in here. Then I can send you Bitcoin for this food I'm eating, and we're done. Like you can start building your Bitcoin stack. And everyone in the world pretty much has heard of Bitcoin at this point
Yeah.
and are open
Yes.
enough to at least having a little bit. They know it's not like a crazy scam most of the time. And even if
Yeah.
they do, they're at least curious about it. And
Yeah.
they know that it's something that maybe is worth holding. So, and then, if you can sense that they're open to learning more about it, then of course you can talk more about the Bitcoin side. But this is where Primal comes, or Nostr and Primal, these clients comes in too. You can bring both of them together. It makes it really, really
Definitely.
powerful.
Definitely. It's super powerful. I remember I went to in Sao Paulo for shopping with a developer from Yakihoni, like Wendy, and then randomly I was just asking, "Oh, do you accept Bitcoin?" And she said no, and she was like pointing out of my Nostr bag. But I heard about Nostr. I was like, "What?" And I was like,
Rare.
"Million, wild." So I freaked out, obviously, completely. And I was like, "Are you using Nostr?" "No, I don't know how to do it." I was like, "Give me your phone." So we set up the shop like straight away, did everything for them, zapped them, posted, reposted, and they are now using it. And the same
So
actually
cool.
happened to the biggest newspaper in El Salvador, El Mundo.
I saw you posted about that. That's super cool. Tell us
Holy,
that story.
that was insane. So there was this German guy, he's an editor. He came to the Nostr booth and he was just like, he was German. So it's like always then very easy to connect when there's not a language barrier. And he was like, "So I would like to speak to the CEO of this booth." And I was like, "There's
Where's
nothing."
the manager of Nostr?
He's like, "Derek, are you there?" No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. That's the first man I'd be looking for.
And I was telling him, "Well, there is no CEO." And he said, "Well, who's paying you?" I was like, "Nobody." So,
Nobody and everybody.
exactly, nobody and
All your
everyone.
followers. Yeah.
And then he was like super curious, like, "Oh my god, this is brilliant. How long are you in El Salvador?" I was like, "Well, another week." He said, "Okay, you have to come to the show." I was like, "Yeah, yeah." So I was like, wasn't expecting anything. I didn't, was like, "Yeah, okay, maybe he forgot me." So then he actually texted and called. And so we drove there. I took Jody, who is working for Atlantis, and he speaks Spanish. So it was very good and a good support because, like, yeah, who am I? It's like, don't speak Spanish at all. And we came there and it was actually a TV show. It's like, yeah. So it was like, so they recorded it, and I was like, "What is happening here? I don't know." Like, I came there, I thought it's an interview, like on paper. So I was like super sweaty, no makeup, hair all over the place. I was a mess, right? And I was like, "What do you mean? I'm on camera now?" It's like, shit, such a nightmare. What's the? But anyway, then we were talking about it, and then after we set them up directly the account, and ever since they're using it so much, publishing the articles. And I was like, wow. And then I was looking on Twitter, they have 500,000 followers. It's like, that's the biggest
Wow.
newspaper. And we purple pilled them. And that was one of the biggest success, actually. I was really, really happy. And yeah, that was really cool.
It's always very exciting when we see these people with big followings on other platforms join,
Yeah.
because we know that eventually, as they go down the rabbit hole of this, they're going to pull those people over. Another one, like shout out to Paul Keating, my guy. He's been bringing a bunch of these other sort of like holistic health
Yes, I
influencers
saw
in
that
his
the other
circle.
day.
Hmm.
It's like five new guys, like looking like
Hmm.
supermodels. So like, okay.
Yeah, and they all have like 100, 200, 300,000 followers on Instagram, because Instagram has this strong base of like health-minded people right now, which is like actually awesome. As much as we hate on the algorithms and Instagram and stuff, like I've noticed there's been definitely a trend of more of that coming on, and so those people are being boosted by the algorithm, which is good. So now we steal them, kidnap them over to Nostr, and just
Yeah,
continue zapping them and supporting them to make sure they have a great experience.
yeah,
And so they just do what all the cool kids are doing and just use their Instagram and Twitter to just shill their Nostr and just
yeah,
pull people over. That's how we get those audiences built on this
yeah.
new protocol.
And it's like also a lot of trust. I mean, look at Max DeMarco. It's like he's a great example for a good content creator. Like he's earning zero money from for YouTube, and then he's posting a video like one of his crazy documentaries where he either eats meat or is getting fighted until death almost. It's
Or
getting
lays on the floor.
almost leaves
He does
on the
everything.
floor, and we all love it, right? So and
Yeah.
we send him zaps and appreciate his content to entertain us. So and yeah, it's nice, and if people see that from the outside, they find that maybe interesting. And but of course, I do understand people who are hesitant to join, and because they might feel lonely, and it's still Nostr is still work in progress. It's like, is a lot of work, and you have to really, really work for your content, for your entire profile. Like the amount of work I've been doing is like, that is a lot. It's like, not that I just log in once in a while. No, we really have to communicate with the people. You really have to be active. You have to say good morning back, right? So, and it's actually is nice because people then appreciate you even more. And then when you see these people you interact, like just online in real life, that's just mind blowing. That's just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and one of the things I also wanted to throw out there was, just while we're on the conversation of these people with big followings on the other platforms coming over, is something that I tell them is that you don't need to go all in on this overnight. You can literally just use it to post the links to your other channels. That's fine. No one's gonna get mad at you for that. My one of the guys that I actually brought in from that little house in the mountains that I told you about, his name is Mitch. He has this Project Untethered project that he does, and he has a big YouTube channel. It's like 115,000 subscribers. And so what I told him was, like, you're not going to be like posting all your videos on here. Instead, you can just post the link to your videos. Like, that's all you have to do,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden there's a new income stream for you, for people to send you zaps if they appreciate the video. And you can build a following here that is completely uncensorable, and it's permanent and will stick with you. That's a huge thing, especially for people who are getting into spicy topics, like
yeah.
topics that aren't friendly with the algorithm. Like for him, he's just talking about travel. Travel is like a travel blog type thing. So there's no algorithm barrier there, at least for now. You never know when it's going to change, but
Yeah,
people who have podcasts that really dive into more like Bitcoin type stuff, if you know what I mean, uh, you know, tons of censorship going on. And so they, even if they keep YouTube or the centralized platforms as their main, it's easy to sell them on the value of having a backup plan where your followers cannot be taken away from you no matter what. And this is why it's been so cool. I bring this up on the podcast a lot, but I'm so happy to see Ken Berry, our guy, come over from YouTube, because he has 3
I saw
million
it. Yeah,
subscribers
yeah,
on YouTube
yeah,
and
yeah,
like hundreds of thousands on all the other platforms. So he is a perfect example of someone who, and he goes against the narrative, quote unquote.
yeah.
So he's a perfect example of someone who understands very much the risk that he runs. And you can see in his videos, he has to bite his tongue a lot, because if he goes too hard on the truth, you could get completely taken down.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
true.
that's why he loves Nostr so much, and he's like so interested in it, because and this is why these people with big platforms, it's even better for them. If you just show it to them the correct way and say this is the perfect supplement to your normal routine, it's easy to slide in and start making money.
Definitely, definitely. And for me, the same. It's like, I never, for example, can speak open and honestly about the pandemic and all the clusterfuck, what happened in Germany. It's like never, ever, because people are like, even my friends, they were so, yeah, they agreed so much with everything what happened. And I'm just not. And right now, and even being in down the Bitcoin rabbit hole and the Nostr ecosystem, I finally can say this was so fucked up. Sorry to say that, and was so bad, and everybody is like silencing it and like acting like nothing happened. And even it was 5 years ago, and I remember it was like, yes, I wasn't allowed to leave my house for 8 months. I wasn't traveling for 2 years. And if you say that, like on any other platform, yeah, good night. It's like, and if you say, well, this was so wrong and we all know that, everybody's like, yeah, but what should we do? And it's like, no, like talk about it and be honest about it. And we all know it was really bad. And that's what I love these platforms and also these podcasts as well, because finally you can say something without getting shadow banned or like people threat you and you have to be afraid your license getting taken away or you lose your job and all these kind of bullshit.
Yeah, and when I go into these topics that are like no-go topics, the one that I'm actually pushing Max to do right now is I've been diving into the chemtrails rabbit hole and the geoengineering and like what's really going on in the sky. That has been one that has really just taken me for a giant loop. I have no idea how much you've looked into that, but for me, it's just been blowing my mind. So I want to talk about it. I don't want to be silent no matter what. Now that we have Nostr,
Yeah.
I am putting these things on YouTube. I know that it puts me at risk because this is definitely the most like censored topic imaginable on YouTube. Like it's crazy. Like even researching this stuff, because all you just see everywhere is like video no longer exists. Like taken
Ah,
down, taken down. Everywhere is taken down. It's so hard to find resources that are actually like real research because it's just so badly censored. Um, and then you go on like the 5G side where Google itself is a big part of that. So of course, they're going to have some algorithms in place that destroy you if you are exposing the fact that they are microwaving people's brains, and that's probably not a good idea. So I'm still putting it on YouTube because if a single person out there can find this and learn something, it's good. I don't care if it gets me banned there now because I have Nostr. I have that
exactly.
backup in place,
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, like,
Amazing.
YouTube to me is just kind of like a fuck it. Like, I'll just throw it up there just
Yeah,
because you never know what could happen.
yeah,
I'm no longer scared of that, because that's just like a side project. Every single like once you are deep enough into Nostr, all the other things become just sort of a side thought and a way to usually just bring more people to Nostr as we continue
yeah,
finding. And
definitely.
it's because there's so many people on these platforms that have similar mindset as us that are freedom minded. They love free speech. They want to and they love the circular economy vibe where you can share value with it without third parties. More and more people are getting into Bitcoin because of this. We just have to bridge them over, because once they get over there, then they truly complete the full trifecta of not just, understanding Bitcoin, but being stuck on Twitter, where Elon controls everything. He is like the god of Twitter. We never know like when the algorithm could turn against them. Like for
Yeah,
me, it's already turned against me and a lot of other people. But once you free the money and the communication together, it really just changes everything. It's mind blowing.
it does. Yeah, and I mean, like especially in Germany, they're like, especially in east of Germany, like the former east, there are a lot of people who are like against the system, and they're so the problem with Germans is like those people, they do not speak English. So if you I tried same with my parents. They're not like, they do not even trust the internet. Like all, like my dad has no smartphone, right? So he doesn't trust anything anymore. He pays in cash and that's it. So and because they've just seen how everything was like against them, but I think Nostr is for them just a solution for like open up, for also for communicate, right? So and that's like when I'm back home, I really would like to get more into that side and try to onboard like more of those people and get them connected. And because if they trust you, they trust in what you do. Like if they know you, that's like how I got onboarded into Nostr, because like Svetsky invited me and said, Tanja, you should come. I was like, okay, I'm coming, right? So there's always this person who's bringing you into that. And but it's like, it's a lot of work to do. And I see that here as well in Buenos Aires. Even the city is amazing. The country just like is doing, like they're shifting right now. It's like there's so much hope here right now, and people are excited where this journey is going. So yeah, it's for me excited being part of it.
In another aspect of this, I know this wasn't really part of your story as much, but for all those of us who've been just banging the drum about Bitcoin for years, and Bitcoin just hit 100K recently, like we've all been seeing our trust level among our social circle increasing because they're finally realizing, oh shit, that crazy friend was right. So the friends, there's the classic friends and family and ex-girlfriends and boyfriends are all texting us back and just saying like, oh, like I should have listened to you, like how do I buy Bitcoin, is it too late? And then they start reaching back out to you once they realize that you were right about this. So like for those people who have seen their trust level increasing, now's the time to like give them this new thing as well, because now they're actually going to listen to you more than before.
And yeah, it's like also like you're not too late. I mean, I started now as well. Like, and of course I still invest my 25 or 20 euros every week. It's like, doesn't matter if the price is 100K, 50K, 15 or a million. I still do that, right? So, and that's what a lot of people just don't get it. It's like they stop. Like, and even like my friends say, oh no, now it's too late. I was like, no, it's absolutely not. It's like we are just at the beginning. That's what I believe, at least.
And this is another perk for starting people on Nostr, is there's much less of an I'm late feeling,
There's
because
like that is
when you
so
try
me.
to because when you try to tell people about Bitcoin, the first thing their brain thinks is, oh, I wish I would have gotten it years ago when that one person told me to get it and I thought it was a scam, so I didn't. And then they're just stuck in this what if situation where they wish they would have come in earlier, and all they can think about is the negative. They can't forgive their past self, where every single one of us like has been through this, of where we have to forgive our past self for overlooking it when it was cheaper. But for Nostr, there isn't that negative like instant thought, because it's like there is Bitcoin involved. It's like an economy in that way, but it's not like there's no price attached to it. So not only are we actually just way more early to that, like this is like being in Bitcoin in 2010 or 2011, it's like super early to Nostr, but people don't feel like they missed the boat because there's no price that was
Yeah.
lower. There's no price on it. So it's much easier to just say, hey, this is a thing. Come join. You're super early, and like we're going to be early for a very long time on this, because these big tech platforms are massive. There's
Yeah.
billions of people on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and I don't even know what the numbers are for Nostr right now, like a couple million total, but only like 50,000 a
Well,
day active users. That's the last time I saw. I'm not even sure that's accurate anymore.
I mean, how do you measure that, right? It's a protocol. It's
Yeah.
like,
It's,
how do you measure that?
mhm.
Um, and like having an account and being an active user is also just a very different story, right? So it's very difficult to put their numbers out. But it's a fun place to be, I can tell you.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen this too, but if I go back and look at all the people I brought on over the last few months, I'm very happy with the amount of people I brought in, but most of them are not active. It's the retention is tough, and so that is going to be the next step. Is like we said, that's a successful seed planted. Most of them are not going to be deleting the app. It's still going to just be sitting there on their phone. They just don't really use it because they're not used to it. They don't understand it, or maybe they just got turned off by the fact that it's a little bit clunkier than the centralized ones right now. And they'll come back later. It'll be better, and then maybe then they'll come. But it's a process. It's the seed is planted. It takes time to grow, and as the adoption continues, more people come on board, more like big names, more. We haven't even had any. Well, maybe just a couple like really big name like social
Yeah,
media influencers come on and then use their centralized platform to really promote it. You know,
promoting it. Yeah,
it's like we've had some big names come over, but they kind of keep quiet on the other platforms, so they're still feeling it out. As soon as we get someone to really, I think Jack Dorsey, I would say, is like really the only one I can think of that really did that, where he joined Nostr and he just pushes it hard on Twitter. Still,
yeah,
we need more of those people who have like big followings, because it's just going to snowball effect, and we see these little blips of adoption. Like the last one was Brazil, and I want to talk about your experience in Brazil more in a second. But when they had their president come out and say like we're going to ban X in the whole country, there was a crazy run of new users that week.
yeah,
I think I got like 1,500 followers in just like a week or two, just from like new people just flooding in, from Brazil. Even
yeah,
I don't even speak Portuguese, but they just wanted to like find the solution, and it was
yeah.
really cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's what I find here. Like people here just in South America just get it more, get it quicker than in Europe, because they've seen what happened to like Brazil. Like people were just randomly posting any NPUBs like all around the platforms to just get connected on Nostr to speak up, and that's just crazy. And you see how easily it can happen that like a social media platform get banned from a whole country. This is insane. Is I mean, this is, if you think about it, is absolutely ridiculous. But then you see, oh my god, there is a centralization, has so much power, so much control. So do I want that for me? Do I really want that somebody else has all this power over me? No, I don't. Like, I don't want that any other CEO of a centralized platform has control about my followers, my content, everything what I say. And that's a cool thing about Nostr. Even is not everything is perfect, and I don't want to see what's happening if somebody is like actually hacking my account or get my private key, because we haven't talked about that. Like that's, I think, the biggest problem we are facing these days with Nostr. What's happening if you lose, not if you just lose your private key, but if somebody else gets it, what do you do then? Like, how do you prove that this is not this person? You are absolute. That's like, what are you gonna do, right? So that's something I think a lot of developers are working on as well right now to find a solution. And I think that's something we have to like look into it once we get like, because at one point we will have a lot of people coming and joining Nostr. So, and we need easy solutions for that, because like the onboarding process right now it gets easier, but still complicated. Like, that's
There's
a
a
long
few
way.
different sides of that coin to look at, because I completely agree with you. That is something that can be improved upon for sure. But at the same time, like on the opposite side, I know that Rabble, another guy who I had on the podcast, he has spoken up in the past about how, when he's onboarding new people, they don't have this crazy paranoia about their passphrase and their NPUB and their NSEC like we do, because we're Bitcoiners. We come from a place of like knowing that this is your Bitcoin key and you cannot lose this or it's the end of the world. If someone gets it, like everything's over. These people just coming in, all they see is a little NSEC string and they can just throw it in different apps and they think, oh, it's cool, I can pull it up on different apps. They don't have this like trauma from like Bitcoin land where if you lose your key, you like lose a ton of money. So
Yeah,
at
I
the same
agree.
time, like we don't want to like instill fear in people, like it's the end of the world if you lose this. Uh, for me personally, I don't even push too hard on that. Like during my onboarding process, when I show them, like I said, I usually start with Primal, and if they're on iPhone, I give them Damus next, and they just copy and paste it right over. I don't even get too crazy about it. I just write this down somewhere. But it will be interesting. I'm looking forward to more solutions being built around that, because I agree it's definitely something that needs to be thought about. Um, yeah.
No, I agree with you. I mean, when I onboard people, I don't make a big fuss about that, because probably they will lose their first NSEC anyway. And I paste and copy it as well with them to just show them, okay, this is how it works. But like, imagine you or me, like, imagine we got hacked. Like, that's a problem then, right? So
It would suck. Yeah.
that
I
would
put a lot of work into this.
But yeah, so for new people, I think it's okay to not be so strict. Let them play around with it. I do the same with them, because otherwise, if you put too much, like the way I approach it in the beginning is, if you do it correctly, you need 7 apps probably in order to make it properly. There you have your password keeper and this and this and this, and it's like just getting crazy. People like, you lost me there. No, just show them the fun
Yeah.
part. Send them 500 zaps straight away. They can play around with. This is how you get the people in, and where the fun thing starts.
It's a spectrum for sure. I think that just starting with the fun, like you said, just start with the fun stuff. And once they get in, I'm sure there's some good resources out there about how to really do like very, very good security. I'm not sure what they are, but I'm sure they're out there. That would be something I'd love to maybe have a guest on a podcast in the future talk about that. Like, these are the best practices you can have. I'm not doing the best practices myself either, so I'm sure I could definitely improve. Also with Bitcoin,
Yeah,
when you're like us and we're not super technical, I think when you start to get more and more perfect with the security of these things, it begins to get more technical. So it's kind of a turnoff, but you just got to figure it out at some point. This is where the responsibility side comes in, where you need to really be responsible over your own keys. Like, it's not that hard. You got to just figure out a way to have this offline, really safely protected, because it's important. And I keep hearing more people say that their private NSEC is now on the same level of privacy of their like Bitcoin key. That they treat them the same. They're both very important, because they are.
they are. And the good thing is, like, you always can ask people. I mean, here the guys I'm around with, they're so technical. They said, okay, do you run your own node? I was like, hell no, I don't know. They say, okay, we're gonna teach you. We're gonna do that with you. I was like, okay, I'm open to it. If you help me, I'm absolutely, just fix everything. It's not a problem, right? So, but they are very keen and so bullish to help you with everything, and in order to make your life easy. And I think this is what we need right now, is being the non-technical people. It scares me what they talk about. It's like, it's absolutely, yeah, I don't know. It's like, so just teach me, explain it to me in a good way so that I can use it. And that's the beauty here of it.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about the different places you've been to. You talked about, so if I'm not mistaken, you've been to Brazil, El Salvador, and Argentina were kind of the big three you went to, right?
Yeah, we started actually in Buenos Aires in Argentina, like with La BitConf. Then we went to Sao Paulo to SatsConf, then El Salvador to adopting Bitcoin, and then I am now back in Buenos Aires because I like it here.
Is that your favorite of the three that you went to?
I think, I mean, it doesn't have the beach, that's the issue, but I know the most people here, and that's that's a cool thing.
Yeah, that's the best like Bitcoin community you said, and those are like local people at the La
Local
Crypta
people.
you said it's called.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's
They're
super cool.
they're super cool, and that's why I was like, I was thinking to go to Colombia, but I will be there anyway for the Bitcoin conference in Medellin in January.
I heard about that. I was thinking about going actually. I've been to Colombia a few
Go,
times.
yeah, yeah, go
Yeah,
for it. I will be
it would be
there.
cool.
It's gonna be fun, and never been to Medellin before, and they invited me being a speaker, so that's like really really cool.
Oh,
So I'm
great.
looking forward to that,
That's super
and
cool.
yeah, so
Amazing. So how are each of these places different in terms of the experience you had at the Nostr booth? How
okay,
did you notice the difference in the people that came by? Like, was there
yeah,
different vibes that you
yeah,
felt?
definitely. La BitConf was the biggest one. There was like 10,000 people attending.
Wow.
Yeah, but mostly it was a shitcoin conference. So a lot of shitcoiners. That's why so many people came. But for us, having
We
the
still love you on Nostr.
yes, of
You can still
course.
come, hang out.
We for me that was like we had the a container, a gigantic booth. We had a Nostr panel on the main stage with great speakers like Odell, Rebel, Max, Augustine, and I had the honor to moderate it. It was my first ever panel, and it was really, really cool. I had so much fun. And yeah, so that got a lot of attention. We had then the Nostr Day at the local community center, La Crypta, which is like an old house, like an old German house in the middle of like skyscrapers, like because it was restricted and it's like very mystery and like so many. It was really, really fun. The thing about these conferences, all of them, I mean, I'm from Germany, I'm from Europe. If I plan something, if I organize something, normally I plan that a year ahead. So I have my structure, my schedule, my agenda, and all my to-do lists. And then you come there and the suppliers, you don't know the suppliers, you don't speak the language. You just have to trust the people. And you came there and you see the booth and I was like, okay, the printing is not so nice. The sign is not the one you ordered and nobody cares, right? So I was like, yeah, not my problem. And I was like, great. So that was a little bit upsetting. I'm not, even everybody else loved it, right? So nobody cares, but I was just like, that's not what I ordered. This is not how I work. I don't like it. So that's a mindset is very challenging for me. SatsConf in Sao Paulo was smaller, organized by Lucas, who did an amazing job. It was a Bitcoin only conference. The downside here was the weather. So it started raining like for 2 days. Literally everything broke down. It's like poor him, second year in a row. It's like the problem with the conferences is always the same. It's dark, it's loud, food is shit. So I was like, can't be so difficult. You're Bitcoiners, that's like, you preach to be carnivore, you preach to be healthy, you don't want blue light, and then at a conference you do all these things wrong. What is that? So it's very, how do you say the word, hypocrisy?
Oh, hypocritical. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
It is true. I agree with you on that. Like, we need more conferences. It's probably going to start small. Like, it's really hard to get these giant conferences to all fall in line with all the the Bitcoin stereotypes.
yeah.
But we do
And
need to see more of that. I think that would be such a popular idea. Like, just like you said, have, really healthy food
yeah,
available, like good healthy lighting, like grounding outside, all this health stuff, like, because there's such a huge Bitcoin health connection. I just
Yeah.
uploaded an episode with Tristan Scott, who he wrote the book Bitcoin and Beef, bringing the health and the Bitcoin worlds together.
Yeah.
I know Max DeMarco is also big on this. He's really into health and Bitcoin. There's so many people that agree on this. We just need to get a conference together that really, brings these things together and also invites the masses to come in and see it, because that would be really powerful if people seeing that we aren't these just crazy techie nerds that are like in our parents' basement our whole life. We love the sun and we love meat and we love being
Yeah.
healthy and doing
It's a
100
whole
squats a day or
lifestyle,
whatever.
right?
Yeah.
And it's not difficult because adopting Bitcoin did that right. So
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
elaborate on that. Because I haven't been there yet.
yeah,
How did that go?
because El Salvador was in the conference was hosted like in a mountain, on top of a mountain in the jungle. And it was a new venue, and they had, for example, a farmer's market. So local businesses were selling their things like sage and all these kind of handmade stuff, so which was amazing. Then they had local food stands, like literally local food stands, good coffee, like all these kind of, like they sold honey and all these kind of cool things where you're actually like, oh, this is nice. And they had a kids area outside, the Paraninos. It was super, super, super cute. And then they had still 2 stages inside, but they were flooded with a lot of daylight because they had like high windows. And the only thing what went wrong there was, unfortunately, like, the thing is, the venue was too big for the amount of people. So it was like when you were on the main stage and sitting like in the audience, it felt like you were kind of lost. So there was something you need to think like as well, how you manage that more effectively.
It's really hard because I've been to conferences that were the same way, where there were quite a lot of people, but if the space is even bigger, it kind of feels like it's empty. It has a vibe of it seems like there's no one there, which no conference wants to feel that way.
No.
But it's really hard to hit the perfect middle ground because they don't know how many people are going to buy tickets,
Yeah.
And it's dependent on the Bitcoin price a lot of the time, how excited people are to buy tickets and go.
Exactly. And air condition was a disaster because it was super cold. I don't know. It's like, that's like you go outside, you sweat, and then you go inside and need a jumper. And the audio was also very, very difficult. Actually, the audio, like especially in La BitConf, was so bad when I was like doing my moderation, I couldn't hear the other people on the stage. I literally couldn't hear them. I was like, I have no idea what you're just talking about, Odell, but yeah, go ahead, right? So that's something which is a no-go at a huge conference. You're gonna fix that. Like, you have to be professional. People pay so much money for those tickets. I was a little bit disappointed in the printing from the booth at Adopting Bitcoin. But this has nothing to do with the organizers because they outsourced that as well. And they were very, very apologetic and was like, look, we are not happy with that. We are so sorry. I mean, we got still the biggest booth and it was amazing. Like, we had this.
It was the biggest booth.
It was, we had the biggest booth at every conference. Like, because.
Really? Oh, yes, wow. I love it.
That's what I love. It's like, they supported that project so much. They wanted to have the biggest presence. Yes, we did have to pay for it, but just to the material costs, actually. And that was really, really cool. And from all 3 conferences, I think Adopting Bitcoin is the one I preferred the most. Even I'm not sure what I should think about El Salvador, because it has a weird energy, right? So this country has been through so much the last years, and you can feel it. Like, on the one hand, you have these amazing luxury Bitcoin mansions. They have their old kind of town with their own street, like, and the pavement is better than any like street in Germany. And then you're on the highway and kids are playing in the mud, like, and for me, I don't see this. Like, for me, this is shocking. My heart is breaking if I see like children doing that. And when I say that here, it's like everybody was like, this is free market. They help each other. Like, this is like how it goes, and this is good what we do. But for me, it's just like it's just different for me. So that's something I, yes, still need to. I think I have to go again, because by that time we were also very exhausted living together for like 4 weeks, like with 6 people together in the same Airbnb. And I was just, at one point I just wanted to leave and was like, I want to be alone.
Yeah. And this is why I really want to go to El Salvador to see it for myself, because
Yeah.
you hear so many different opinions on it, no matter who you talk to. Yeah, there's everything from, I think that's kind of one of the more like darker sides of it for most people I meet, which is good. Like, we want to be honest. Just because they have Bitcoin doesn't mean we should just pretend it's perfect. I think the question is just going to be: are we seeing an example of, just how long it will take for Bitcoin to really fix a really broken fiat system? Because when you see that like segregation of like, the super rich Bitcoiners and, the rest of the country who's still struggling, what do we do with that? How do we like help the rest of the people? We obviously, and I know that the people there are really on board with this. They want to help the country. They, all the, like the Bitcoin Beach Project, for example, Mike Peterson, like I've listened to him a lot. Sounds like an extremely good dude who really wants to help out the country. He doesn't want to just have like a little paradise beach for just Bitcoiners. He wants to help the country, but it's not easy. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of work to make happen. So that's why I want to go see it. I do want to go see it for myself. And this is going to be a more and more common thing as more countries adopt Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I know that pretty much all of them right now, it's still sort of a little, a village or a small cohort of Bitcoiners, like Bitcoin Jungle in Costa Rica and
Yeah.
Bitcoin Lake in Guatemala. It always starts small. And so it's easy sort of as an outsider and someone that even comes there and only sees that part, that, it seems like it's just a little tiny piece. And it kind of gives you that perspective of this is going to take a lot of work to really properly, expand that through the whole country and make sure that everyone here is benefiting from Bitcoin.
And I mean, for me, it was amazing to actually see it like firsthand, to pay everywhere in Bitcoin, even at the petrol station. It's like, what? This is like, because yes, in Berlin, I mean, I just started, right? Here, of course, you can pay at specific spots where you know where to go, Lightning, but there it was just like for me, almost everywhere, like at the Starbucks, like, which has nothing to do with the conference or the supermarket. Yes, people sometimes they need then some help and need to call their supervisor, but at the end we paid in Bitcoin. So that was really cool.
And it's even more motivation to make sure you find the small mom and pop business owners and entrepreneurs, because then you know that you're really helping them by giving them
Yeah.
Bitcoin, because even if they don't fully understand it yet, you're still helping them for the future, because not everyone over there has the bandwidth to go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, because people in these countries are oftentimes struggling a lot money wise. And so you just have to understand that when you are participating in this economy and spreading your Bitcoin among these people and the businesses, it is helping them. And if
Yeah.
you can, give them a quick spiel on why to not sell it and just
Yeah.
hold on to it. And
Well,
the Bitcoin will do its thing.
well, this is the thing. Like, everybody is always saying, "Oh, stack your sats," but we actually want to spend ours as well. I don't want to pay in fiat, right? I like my bank account is almost empty. Like I just I spent my sats and try to survive on them. So this is how the entire ecosystem actually is gonna work. If everybody's doing that and nobody has any fiat money, then we all won, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a good transition to start talking about the future a little bit, because we have so many interesting projects popping up. And I think I commented on your post earlier, the video that you made of the recap is like, I want to be part of this moving forward. You talked about the issues that a lot of these conferences had, the good and the bad, and also the countrywide issues that are going on. And I think that you and I can agree that continuing to promote Nostr and market it to the world is a great way to, at the very least, give people a nibble into this world that's going to help bring up everyone. This is going to get rid of fiat money and fiat social media at the same time. So what do you see for the next year? Do you see are you looking at different countries you want to go to? Are you going to go with the same conferences and try to make it happen, work even better this time? What are your thoughts?
I mean, the big problem I have right now, and let's talk about money and finances. Who's going to pay for that? Who's funding that?
Yeah.
This is I mean, we raised a lot of money through the Geyser campaign, I think 18,000. But
Wow, that's awesome. That's
yes,
so cool.
but it almost cost us 50K.
No, wow, really?
Yeah.
For those three having the biggest booth. Well, you did have the biggest booth. I guess I'm not shocked. Those could be expensive.
It's not about the booth situation. It's more about the people, like the team, like the flights, the travel, the accommodation.
Gotcha.
Like my time is I worked 3 months for that. Nobody, if I actually have a normal salary, it's like these are that's yes, of course I love it, and everybody's like, oh, let's do it. It's like, yes, but who's paying for it? Let's be very honest about that, because I mean, at one point we need funds in order to do that. So this is something I'm happy. I mean, if it's about me, I organize it, and I'm writing actually right now a blueprint to that everybody's just copying, pasting it. But I will talk also about how expensive kind of things conferences are and what you have to do for it, so that everybody is getting a little wake up call as well and say, oh, I wasn't expecting it, that this is so expensive.
Right.
But so I would love to go to Las Vegas, for example, in May, and have there a gigantic Nostr presence. Like, if that would be one thing, I would love to have there a very big booth and a huge Nostr day.
I already got my tickets. I go to the big one every year. I have to.
I've never been to Las Vegas. I've never been to the States apart from New York City. But that is so that's something we need to talk about with the whole community.
You got to find a way. I know I'm going to be there. For me, the biggest Bitcoin conference every year is just a must for me, because that's the ultimate, big gathering.
I spoke to Derek the other day. We would like to start a project together, actually, for the next year at one of the conferences, and do it together. I do the organizational part. He does the talking. I think that would be just a perfect.
He's so good at talking. He's the best.
No, because the most thing I did not enjoy was raising funds. I know I come from a sales-driven background back in 2016 from London, but it was such a brutal job, and I don't like to ask for money. It's like I organize, I network, I love that, but yeah, raising funds, that was not funny. Yeah. That was not cool. Las Vegas would be nice. Prague will be cool as well, and then we have also FoodStem. I don't know if you heard about that. That's coming up in February.
FoodStem?
FUSTEM. That's in Brussels.
Okay, I have not heard of it.
That's more like a small technical conference, but we applied there for booth, and if they accepted it, and we can actually have it for free. So which is
cool.
nice. Yeah, which is cool.
Great.
That's in February.
We like that.
We like that. Yes, that's in February. And then I go to Medellin just being a speaker in January. But look, I'm open to projects, open to things. Maybe I start a podcast. I don't know. It's like
That'd be amazing. You'd be so good at that. I would love it.
I was actually talking to a friend of mine here who's a Bitcoin nerd. I was like, shall we not just do a podcast together? You explain me what Bitcoin is. So we just do it like step by step.
Amazing idea. Yeah.
That would be so hilarious because I would just laugh that would be actually a fun thing. So that I actually can know actually what I'm talking about. No, it's like I do my research, but yeah.
And you can always just do it one step at a time and start small. Like it could just be like a small series at first. And if you want to keep doing it, you can expand it, you know?
Exactly. So I think that would be fun. And then there's also a project. I'm not sure if I actually can talk about it, but I just planted the seed. So one of the Nostr clients approached me and would like to do a creators retreat.
Ooh, so I like this.
Yes. So I pitched him something yesterday and we spoke today, and he loves the idea what I pitched him. That would be a 4 days retreat for creators.
I love it.
Sure.
That's great.
It's in South America. I'm not sure if I can say the country actually. And you're gonna get an invitation as well. Don't worry. So
I'll be there.
Yes,
I love the sound of this. This is great.
Max is on board as well. And I have amazing creators, which would be a kind of combination about networking with creators, having their own free time, and also talking about the Nostr product. So like very high end, very exclusive, just like maximum like 10, 14 creators the house is really cool.
This is exciting. There's so many cool ideas coming out. I was just talking to Paul the other day, and he's talking about like this retreat type deal as well. Like bringing people together in nature to talk about these cool like techie things that we're building is like the ultimate way to just speed run, making sure that this is done the right way with cool people, because there's so many good people in the community who care about making it work the right way, and making the world better is the end game. And that's what we all want to do. It's so awesome to see. And when you bring those people together, it just multiplies it.
And the energy is like so mind-blowing. And this is what I love about all these conferences, is nonstop, this energy. And, ever since I'm like part of this amazing journey, I actually have hope. I have hope for the future. I'm in my mid-30s. I do not have kids because I never wanted kids, right? So, which is such a bad thing. And now I'm actually, oh my God, yes, I would love to be a mom. It's like, this is, even if I'm a little bit late, but better than never. It's like, there is hope for the future. And if we could raise our kids with all the knowledge we have right now, it's like, yeah, that's really
so
cool.
So common for that to come into our brain as we get into Bitcoin is we become more optimistic, we more excited to build a family and have kids and like these things. And as we also go down the carnivore and the health and the healing rabbit holes, our hormones heal up, and that makes us even more want to. So even more motivation to get more young people in here. This is one of the things I really want to focus on more next year, is to just talk to more young people that have like the Gen Z voice, so we can get people started early, because so many of us, I also just turned 30 recently. So, I don't even know what the average age of person on Nostr or Bitcoin is. I think it's probably 30s or 40s, because we have a better idea of what the problems are, how we solve it. but the young people are, they're so ripe for bringing on board. Like, we just need some. I mean, I guess that's a whole nother topic. Is like, what do we need to bring them on?
Yeah,
But
that's true.
there's definitely ways to do it, and just getting them to these conferences as well. I know that the last Bitcoin conference in Nashville had like a student program where a whole bunch of students could apply and come for free. Like, that's awesome. We need to like really spend capital toward getting young people in, because obviously they don't have lots of money, and as you just were mentioning, it's all this stuff costs money. And this was actually one of the questions I was going to bring up, or one of the points I was going to bring up was, this has been an issue for, as long as we can remember, in Bitcoin companies trying to build, too expensive. A lot of them die because they don't have the money. And now in Nostr, it's very much like sort of a volunteer kind of vibe, where a lot of developers are working for free or near free, and it's just a really scrappy, difficult environment. And like you're talking about, when we put these big efforts out there to market it, I see marketing as extremely important. And so when I see these really cool like funding projects like OpenSats,
Yeah.
and people like Jack Dorsey and others, he's really, again, the big one who has lots of money, and he donates a lot of money to these things. Um, but it usually all tends to funnel to developers, and I'm not smart enough to really decide, like, should we allocate a piece of that pie over toward the marketing side of Nostr? Because development is super important, obviously. This is what's
Yeah.
building the thing. We want these people to be able to eat food and live well, because they are building this thing. But how do we also carve out a spot for marketing? Because it's not free. If we want to really market it well, it costs money. So what do you think should be the main priority? Should we be putting more work in trying to bring in, people with money, like these fiat people, to bring them into the Nostr world, orange pilling and purple pilling them, so we have a little bit more, funding access? What do you think?
I mean, the big issue is the word marketing themselves. People in the Nostr ecosystem, including myself, we are not a huge fan of that, because you have to grow it naturally. So, because Nostr is not a business, it's not a CEO, it's not a company. So it's very difficult to do marketing. I think what it does need is like big foundations, HRF, OpenSats, like just apply for a grant. Like with my initiative, I applied as well. It's still under consideration, so please, that would be nice. And if they, for example, see the success of the LATAM tour and say, okay, you know what? Here 150K for the next year, go to 3 conferences, go all in, then this will be an absolute dream. I think the entire ecosystem would be super happy about that. And we could actually do a fantastic job. And for them, for a lot of people, 150K is not a lot of money, and it's not a lot. For me, it's the world, right?
Yeah.
But you could do so much with that. I will definitely see where where that is going, and of course, is people have to take initiatives. People have to do, unfortunately, their own fundraising, because a lot of people are asking me, oh, what about Peru? What about Vancouver? Yes, of course, it's absolutely great, but how? It's like, I can't pay for it, right? So that's the thing. I mean, everybody should just apply with their ideas and ask for it.
And I think the optimistic side for this is the fact that Bitcoin's been doing well. That can only help. When Bitcoin's going down, it's
Yeah,
even harder.
yeah,
So
exactly,
the
exactly.
fact that it's doing really well, it's gathering a lot of press, a lot of news. More and more of the fiat systems, like political leaders, are starting to cave into it, and bend the knee, as we like to say. I don't like to say like Donald Trump's a Bitcoiner, he's going to do good things, but it's like forcing him, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean,
Bitcoin's going to do its thing. It doesn't give a
yeah,
fuck about
he's
Trump. It's going
super
to do its
smart about
thing.
it. Is
Yeah, and like eventually one of the politicians are going to just start to have to like give up and just go with it. Like the only one I think in the administration for the U.S. that really gets it is RFK. He gets it to a pretty good level. You know, he's not perfect. He went to a shitcoin conference, I know, but it's pretty darn good. He had the best speech at the Bitcoin conference. So, I mean, the fact that the whole world is beginning to shift in this direction, naturally, more
yeah,
money is going to shift in this direction. And I know that Nostr is a little bit outside of that general Bitcoin conversation for now,
for now.
but I think that's a reason why we should really focus on bridging the two together, really meshing them together. And like you said, these organizations like HRF, Human Rights Foundation. I know that Alex Gladstein's a huge Nostr guy, which is great to have him. I just watched Bitcoin Shooter's movie last night, which is called No More Inflation. Not sure if you heard of that, but it's super good. And in that, Alex Gladstein has his shirt that has like a giant Nostr on it, you know. So we just need to keep pushing Nostr, just getting it through. So we get to see some of that moolah that's coming in eventually, because we need to do these things. And I'm sure that it's going to be sort of creative as well. Like we're gonna keep our fingers crossed for those sorts of grants to come down. And Geyser is doing an amazing job, like you said. That's going to be open, and people just going to continue zapping. You know, just keep zapping people like Tanja and all these awesome projects. And the fact that you have really good media now as well showing it is great. Like having Max making cool videos so people know what's going on. It is perfect. Well, I think that this has been a super awesome conversation. I think that we can kind of start wrapping things up. Do you have a message out there for maybe either the people who are curious about Nostr or on Nostr, how they can best support you and your efforts so we can continue pushing this Nostr adoption going into 2025?
Well, I think talk about it. Like if there are people out there have questions, like just ask the ecosystem, message us, like, you know, like if you're on Nostr already, don't know how it works, just put the hashtag Ask Nostr, hashtag introductions, all these kind of things. The beauty about Nostr right now, as you said, is so small. If you like want to know something, you can message the CEO of Primal. He's actually answering you directly. Million is a great guy. Everybody is super like kind, open, and friendly. And yeah, I think keep pushing, keep approaching, and let's just make 2025 awesome.
Always be shilling. Tell all your friends to come. Hit up your cool creator friends. We just saw this guy last night, Theo Katzman, who's like a really awesome musician. I'm not sure if you saw this, but I think he just joined in the last couple of days. Joe Martin brought him over. He's got like 100,000 followers on Instagram. He's like a super talented musician, and he's just comes in and says, "Hey, what's up? This is super cool. Let's do it." So like, it just takes talking to people, and you know, put the energy into bringing new people on board, because you also don't know who they may know. It's just growing a network. We're really bootstrapping this thing from the bottom. So always be shilling. Go zap Tanja's efforts and awesome videos about all these cool things that she's doing, because this is like I think the best place to be putting our money. And I'll be keeping an eye out on Geyser. Hopefully they have they just redo this next year for all these projects that are going to the conference initiatives. And super excited. I want to go be part of it more. I want to go push Nostr. Any of these conferences that have Nostr booths, I want to be aware of it. I'll be keeping an eye out because I want to come help you guys, because super exciting times, and it's a great focus to be pushing right now, to be really spending our time on. So appreciate you so much for doing that hard work, being a part of this, really being at the forefront of it. This is history in the making, and it's so great to meet you and to have you here and to spread your message. And we'll be in touch, Tanja. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. How cool is the Nostr sign? Have you seen the Nostr sign?
So what is Nostr for you?
Great. Love the protocol.
Nostr is just a way to communicate without corporations in the middle of us. So just me and you.
So we're gonna onboard actually 2, 4, 6 people at the same time, and we make the first post on Primer with these guys, and I showed them some tricks as a newbie what will help them. Great hashtag is always introduction, so the entire ecosystem can engage with them, and then after that I will send them some Zams.
For me, Nostr is about the community. It's a very friendly place, it's a very helpful place.
I love it! Apart from the rain!
Oh, it's going great. The place is awesome, people is awesome, like a lot of energy.
Oh, I've been hearing about it for a long time, but it's been embarrassing why TANJA'S has not been on Nostr yet.
So I created my first account, so it's very easy. Really, it took me like maybe 1 minute.
Today is the final Nostr day of our South American tour. So we have actually, more than 50 people are coming. So we start with a nice panel, then we have an onboarding workshop. We have a lot of fun today and create more Nostrages, right? So that's what we want.